right, so welcome. This is Dan Weber doing our passenger profile. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Michael. Great to talk to you.
It's great to see you. I'm so used to having you in the chat room on the Taxi
That's right.
Fridays and quarantine. He's kind of a celebrity. You've become a celebrity in the chat rooms over the last couple of years, and it's nice to see your face.
I don't sign autographs anymore, but
Well, you may have to after this. Anyway, well, let's jump right into it. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up right here in Anderson, South Carolina, the electric city of Anderson.
Wow. What are you close to? I don't. I've been to South Carolina, but I've never been to Anderson.
There's Hartwell Lake right down the road from me. It's a pretty big lake for this part of the country, and a lot of recreation there.
Yeah.
And Hartwell Dam. Uh, that's why they call this place the Electric City, because I think
Uh,
we were the first to get power from the Hartwell Dam.
that's nice.
Yes,
Nice clean energy.
and
Oh,
and
go
it
ahead.
was a lot of time in the woods when I was a kid. A lot of time playing in the woods, and
Well,
great place.
how close are you? Are you anywhere near Charleston?
Uh, Charleston is, that's lower state, and I've been there a few times. Baseball, college, yeah, and great barbecue there. Yeah.
Great. Well, South Carolina is a gorgeous state. So, how old were you when you got into playing music?
I was 14. I remember because my mom uh, was taking guitar lessons in New York. We moved from New York, and when we came here, she would play the guitar, and I would ask her to show me some chords. And once she did, I kind of monopolized her guitar. So yeah,
It's
so
pretty obvious, man. You're a monster guitar player. I had no idea you were so good till I started listening to some of your stuff.
well, I appreciate that, but that's not me. That's samples. And
Wow.
yes, I I love the programming. I love programming my own instruments, and I've always wanted. But since I joined Taxi, I wanted to do that. I kind of pictured myself doing this, and sometimes I'm not so good. Sometimes I get it.
Well, I'm impressed because I had no idea those were samples. Your stuff sounds so great.
Well, I
Were
appreciate
you
that.
ever in a band when you were like in high school and stuff?
Yes, I was in a few. Nothing ever big, but I we played for the high school and things like that, and that was all fine. But you know what I loved playing in the little dives around here, the little gas stations that they would turn into a bar,
Yeah.
because I could get up there and I could belt. I mean, I could sing loud if I felt more comfortable in those places, and I think that's what got me into singing more, because I kind of whispered when I was young.
So is that you singing on some of like I listened to your hard rock covers the other day, and that's you singing the vocals?
Yes, sir.
Well, you do a killer job. I was a little
Thank you.
disappointed that the vocals were mixed so low, and I'm thinking, I wonder if Dan is shy about it because it's his own voice. But I thought the vocal performances were really good.
I
So
appreciate that.
yeah, you should definitely mix those louder. Don't be shy about it, man. You can sing your
Thank
butt
you.
off.
I will.
Who were some of your favorite artists when you were like in high school and college?
I ACDC. In the '70s, it was ACDC, Van Halen in the back of my buddy's car. Yeah, and in the '80s it was like Foreigner, uh, Journey, uh, and you know, if you really want to know who influenced me the most, it was Mutt Lang.
Really?
Yes, uh, that's the first time I'd ever heard a producer. You know, there was a big buzz about him taking over ACDC, well, producing for ACDC after Bon Scott had died.
Yeah.
But when I heard Back in Black in the back of a car, uh, it was that kick in that bass, that kick in that snare. It just it made an impact on me, and I that's when I discovered producing.
Well, we'll talk about the engineering stuff later because I got to say, when I listened to your stuff, I literally walked down the hall to Tom's office. Tom is our head of A&R, and I said, listen to this stuff. Listen to the relationship to the bass and the kick and where the snare is at. It just sounds freaking amazing. And, you know, being a retired engineer myself, that stuff
Thank
gets
you.
me excited. So great job on that. But we'll talk about that because I
Yes,
want to find out how you get that sound. I also want to talk about Mutt Lang. You know, frankly, I was never, it's not that I'm not a fan, but I never really followed his career. But after I had left Florida and moved to New York, I went back, I got hired to produce a band, and we decided to do the project at Criteria where I started my career. So I left, flew down from New York to Miami, and we were working for about 2 weeks on this album, and we did these group chant vocals going. The song was called Animal. I'll
right,
never forget this. I had like five guys in the room around a mic and Omni, and we were going, whoa, 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 whoa,
right,
animal, you know, and doing it in
right.
unison instead of harmonies, and then like tripling it. And all of a sudden, the control room door walked in, and it was Mutt Lang. He was working on the other side of the building, and he walked in and he said, first of all, I love that drum sound. Second of all, I love those background vocals. Do you mind if I steal a little of your stuff
Wow,
for this record I'm working on? And I went, and he
Michael,
walked out of the, I mean, he walked out of the room, and I turned to the guy next to me. I said, "Who was that?" He goes, "That's Mutt Lang, dude."
well, he's my second favorite producer. So
Who's your first?
you are definitely, you are
Oh, come on.
definitely,
I don't
you
hold a
are.
candle to that guy. But anyway, let's get back to you. This, you
I
know, I
appreciate
just couldn't
that.
help but tell you about my one meeting with Mutt Lang.
Well, you have a storied career,
I do.
definitely.
It's funny. Every time I move my head, you can see the Venetian blinds behind me. I'm not actually sitting in this gorgeous studio. Hard to believe. Anyway, so that's cool. I can't wait to get to the engineering part and producing part of the interview now. So, what was it that made you decide to join Taxi? Had you, you know, between being a teenager and being an adult, I'm guessing in your 40s or 50s, you know, and probably had a day job and all that stuff. What was it that brought you back to music, or what led you to join Taxi?
Well, I'd always wanted to do, be in the music business, but I was doing cover songs with my samples and doing rock music, and I was getting some good responses, you know, just Facebook, but
Yeah.
it kind of inspired me to look you up again because I've known about you for years, and so yeah, it was the cover songs that and the comments I was getting, and I thought to myself, I can do this. So I joined and learned a lot, and that's pretty much the cover songs are the way I got into it.
Well, from the covers that I've heard, man, you do a really, really good job. You could
Thank you.
probably spend the whole rest of your career just doing covers. People are always looking for covers. They really are. I mean, there's definitely a market for it, and your covers are super strong.
Thank you.
So when you joined Taxi, what were your goals? Was it just to keep cranking out the covers and getting those in film and TV? Was it trying to get a record deal? What was your ultimate goal?
My second forward was take it to the limit. You had you had sounded like a sound alike cover listing for a few weeks, I think it was,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think I even asked a question on Taxi TV about cover songs early on, and you said, yeah, you can make money. You don't make a whole lot because copyrights. But I thought to myself, I need to get my foot in the door somehow, so I continued to do covers and sound alike covers.
You should know that Bill Simzik, the Eagles producer who actually produced Take It to the Limit, lives in North Carolina, so not that far from you. And it's funny that, again,
Love,
I don't want to say, go off track here, but I know you love this stuff.
I love it,
The
love it.
day that I got my job, well, actually, the day that I first set foot in Criteria Studios in Miami, and I was told to sit in the lobby and don't bother anybody. And I'm sitting there, and I kept hearing this pa-cha, pa-cha, in the ceiling above me. And if I remember correctly, it was the snare drum and Randy Meiser's vocal on Take It to the Limit while Simzik was mixing that song. And the echo chamber was actually above the lobby. So you could hear the snare drum, which had, like a really long pre delay on it and a lot of decay on the reverb, and the lead vocal going through there. And man, I was just getting so excited. So,
That snare drum, yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Did you start doing covers because you didn't feel like you were capable of writing your own stuff? And if that's the case, at what point did you get the courage, I guess, to start writing your own stuff?
I didn't have many of the songs, original songs that I had written. Uh, Although my first forward was a song that I wrote, uh, but I I decided that I would just watch. Well, I wasn't watching Taxi TV right away. It took me a month or two, 2 months, 3 months, something,
Yeah.
and I started getting watching episodes and watching videos about Matt Hurt videos. But the cover songs got me into Taxi, but I had always planned on writing my own stuff eventually.
Um, I read in your bio that you've been forwarded by Taxi's A&R department 115 times, and that your first forward came 3 months after you joined. You also mentioned that you've averaged during the course of your taxi membership or your taxi career, I guess you've mentioned that you've averaged about a forward per month, and that your first deal with a publisher happened after your 38th forward. So you hung in there. And that forward ultimately resulted in 291 of your hard rock cues being signed by that company. So that really tells the story to me, because people often say, well, how many deals have taxi members had? Well, so you had one deal on the first forward, but it ended up being 291. So that makes the math impossible for us to ever actually figure out. Um, do you I mean, did you fall out of your chair when you spoke to that publisher and he said,
Oh,
what else can you do? And you have
you
200,
know it.
yeah, 291. That's huge.
I think I had to call carpenters to repair my ceiling in the house, and yes, but yes, it was a big deal to me, a very big deal, and I couldn't believe it. I'll be honest, I couldn't believe it. But that company that that you work with is is such, they're such good people. And they signed that one track that was forwarded, and uh, they had a portal where you could
Uh-huh.
upload music. And I was kind of antsy at the beginning, and then I finally got the courage to give them another hard rock or three hard rock tracks, and they signed them. And uh, then I wrote a few more, and they called me from England and told me, nice people, good people, and told me how much they liked my music. And it was encouraging. And they, they're just, all the people, all the libraries that I work with from Taxi are, and not Taxi. I have a few deals without Taxi, but they're all cordial. They're all good people. They're all great to work with.
I'm so glad that you're bringing this up. This actually wasn't in the questions that I wrote, but let's talk about it for a minute. I think that a lot of people who are not yet in the business in any form or fashion kind of have this image of somebody, on the industry side sitting there in front of a wall full of gold and platinum records, smoking a stogie, thinking, all right, I get
Right,
to break
right,
another musician's heart, or I get to screw
right,
another musician somehow.
right.
My experience has been, I've been in the industry for longer than most of the people watching this have been alive. I mean, I think I'm somewhere close to like 47 years in the industry or something like that. I've
Wow.
met very few people on the industry side that aren't nice people. They all love music, so they've all got that in common. That's what got them into the industry. And they're all looking for either hits or they're looking for songs they can make money with. And they're not out to screw anybody. They're not out to keep anybody out. There's this feeling of like, oh, they're gatekeepers and they're trying to keep me out and they enjoy
I know.
breaking my heart. And you're
I
confirming
know.
what I've always known, which is no, if they like the music you're making and feel that they can make a buck on it, they're pretty awesome to work with and nice people.
Yes. Yes. And if they like your music, they are they are all that. And it I didn't have I didn't I don't think I never was negative, but I may have gotten discouraged with returns in the beginning. And I mean, I still get discouraged a little
Everybody
bit.
does.
Yes. But I never got negative like that. And it was, I trust you. I trust Taxi. I trust you. And you're good people. And you've proven that over and over again.
Well, thank you for
Part,
saying that. All of us who work here really like each other. We like our customers. I mean, there are obviously, some times where you have to deal with problematic people, but by and large, the vast majority of our members are not unlike you. They're happy to be part of this huge extended family. They really like the learning. They like that incredible feeling of hearing their music on a TV show or something. And it makes us feel good to know that people say, "Oh, Taxi sells dreams." We don't sell dreams. We sell solutions to make your dream come true. And it's very
that's right.
satisfying to watch that happen.
That was the original idea, and it's still the same.
Yep.
It's true. It works.
So a lot of times, I'm sure you've seen this on the forum or in the chat rooms, people that are either not yet Taxi members or they're brand new to Taxi, or maybe even they're halfway through their first year and they're frustrated and they ask the question, well, how many forwards do you need to get before you get something signed? Um, and I want to caution our viewers that there is no prescription that says, well, if you get X number of forwards, you're going to get X number of things being signed. That's not the way it works. Um, but I also want people to know that, if you send in two or three submissions a year, you've only got two or three shots at getting signed. So, do you have any advice for new members about finding the balance between submitting kind of a workable volume of stuff that may help you make some headway versus, well, I submitted two things, I didn't get forwarded, therefore I'm shy, gun shy, or pissed off about it. Um, any recommendations for those new people?
Yes, one track, because it only takes one. And if you don't have any, you're not going to get any forwards. But with one track, you can get one forward, or you might be able to get 10 forwards. It's not how many tracks you have on your hard drive, it's whether or not they're right for a listing. But you could nail one listing with one track, and that track could be right for other listings down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get started one track at least. You have to have one track in your repertoire. I only had a few in the beginning, and I was inspired by the listing examples, and that inspired me to write the song that got my first deal. Uh, yes, it was it's inspiration for me. It's inspiration to start writing. For others, it may be different. They may look at it logically or however it's done. I just have to have some kind of inspiration.
Does writing for a request that's basically it's a target, we need this, can you make that, do you have that, and can you get it to us by a certain deadline? Does that help you stay more productive because you're writing at targets with deadlines?
Yes, of course. The the dead when I'm writing for a library, I'm enjoying every minute of it. I don't want to stop. I'm sad when they tell me, okay, that's enough. Yes, I mean the company in England, the first deal, I slowed down every month. I was writing, 15 tracks a month. I could have done 30. I
Wow.
took I took 15 days off because I was feeling guilty that they had to listen to my music. So they had to listen to so much of my music. So
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, I love writing when there's structure involved. When a library is on the other end and is interested in hearing what you have, I love that.
It's funny. People react two different ways. Half of the people react like you're reacting, which is I love having, the structure of being filling an order, if you will, and having a deadline. And other people like, ooh, I'm a creative person, man. I just want to, write when the muse hits me and write what I want to write and emote. And I think they're both are valid. One of them works for what this industry needs, and the other one is just enjoy making music for yourself. They're same thing for two different purposes, basically.
Right. I think I know what you're saying. Uh, when I say I have to be inspired to write, that doesn't mean I don't write.
Mm.
Uh, in the off time when I'm not writing for a library, I I work. I keep myself busy in the studio for one thing, and when I do write, it's usually because I've done something in the studio that I want to try out on a song that I've written or a song that I feel like writing,
Hmm.
and that keeps me going. And I'll write a few a year maybe, but that's I'm not trying to fill up my hard drive and have my own. I've got I've got enough tracks right now to where if a library wanted Western hard rock, I could I'd have a good album for them.
And so, do you find that was it hard at first to see a request that had specific things they were looking for, and kind of making a checklist of, okay, they're looking for up tempo, they're looking for hard rock, they're looking for songs that would be good for sports television, let's say, with big bombastic lyrics, thematically bombastic, like we can win this or whatever. And you said some people freak out and go, man, that's not creative. That's filling an order. But it sounds like that really drives you. How did you first kind of condition yourself or train yourself to answer what the requests were? Did you have a process for it?
I imagine you're talking about listings, taxi listings.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
taxi
Okay.
listings, or even
Not libraries. Okay. All
or a
right.
brief from a
Yes.
library. In either case, they're
Same
still saying
thing.
we need this and
Right.
that. Yeah.
Uh, yes. That but like the sports rock listings, I was all over those, reading them. I'm saying and seeing if it's something that I could do. And when I read the listing and it was something I thought I could do, I was that got me motivated to write to to write for the listing, especially if it was like for food uh, for food networks, and not sports, not cars, maybe something with more of a beat, uh, something that is not so in your face.
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
Well, I was asking, how do you like analyze the listing and then create something that basically fills the laundry list of needs that they mention in the request? Do you sit down and make a list and check them off? Are you, as you're writing and producing it, are you going back and rereading the request and going, yeah, this is still working? How do you stay on task to deliver to them what they ask for?
All of that. Yes, if it's my up my alley, I'm I'm going to the forums. In, uh, I've been to the forums a lot, and
Yeah.
I've checked out other people's music for similar listings,
Mm.
and uh, I'll do that. I will. Uh, some of the listings have TV shows, links to TV shows with the music in the background, things like that. I may look up more TV show, more background music like that,
Hmm.
like tattoo programs or something like that. Uh, uh, yes, I, I I don't get scientific about it, but I do pay attention to the details at least most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I think you're
it,
clearly taking a good approach.
in the beginning it was more like, I can do this, I can do that, and screeners told me differently, and we all have our share of returns, but you learn from that also. And next listing that comes around like that, you've learned from getting a return in the past what you need to change in the future.
Well, it takes a bigger person than I am sometimes. I will admit that, and it takes courage, stamina, and perseverance, and basically humility, because it's hard when you create something that you obviously love. It's your own creation, and somebody says your kid is ugly. Um, a
It's
lot
a
of
gut
people,
punch.
yeah, and people just curl up into the fetal position and go, "Well, that's
Right.
it. I'm out, Chuck." And but you didn't, and the fact that you have that attitude of, okay, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to go listen to other members' forwards on the forwards blog or the forward section of the taxi forum. Um, All good stuff, man. You did everything right and you're still doing it right. So let's find out now about the payoff. Tell our viewers how it felt the first time that you got something placed in a TV show. Where you have you ever been able to watch a show and hear your music in it?
I caught it on my first one on the Cartoon Network. I caught it on my, I can't even think of the account, uh, TuneSat. I caught it on TuneSat, and it was playing all week long. And I was staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I I never caught it. So
Oh,
yeah, I never caught it, and I had even gone up to purchase uh, DVR to record the Cartoon Network, just continuously. But by the time I got the DVR back home, they had already stopped playing it.
oh
They
man.
played, yes, and for 7 times, it was played 7 times in a week, and oh, amazing. Just listening to the tune set 10 seconds or whatever it is, you could hear like a commercial before or after, like they were playing it after they would go right before they were going to a break.
Right.
And yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling.
Did you like run down the block and holler at all your neighbors, "My music's
Oh
on TV"?
yes. Oh yes. 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 I probably uttered, I made it. I made it. Probably something like that. I can't, yes, it did happen that way. I was so excited.
Well,
Almost, yes.
I'm happy that you've experienced that, and
Thank you.
I wish I could be there for every one of our members when they have that moment. Somebody once said to me, I've got 5 kids, and hearing my music on TV for the first time was as exciting as the birth of my children. And I thought, wow, don't tell your wife that.
Wow.
but
Wow.
but I do get it. I
Wow.
mean, it's something you've wanted
Yes.
your whole life, and now it's
I can
actually happening.
understand that, sadly. I can understand that.
So I know that you're basically at your core. Obviously, you've told us that, and I could tell by listening to your stuff that you're a hard rock guy and a really good, talented, dedicated hard rock guy. But yet you've done 4 albums worth of Middle Eastern music that you've had signed by a publisher, and a Balkan rock. I got to say, I've not met any other taxi members in 30 years of running this company that's ever had success, getting with Balkan rock. I don't even know what the heck Balkan rock is. How did you learn those genres? Because like Middle Eastern music, totally different scale. Balkan, I'm not even sure what that even sounds like. How did you figure it out?
Well, the Middle Eastern music, uh, it was difficult at first. I had a slow start getting started with that. But I've kind of figured out later on, after struggling, that it was kind of like heavy metal uh, scales. The
Really?
Yeah, like a half step here, a whole step here, a half step here, and it was kind of like somewhere between minor and major. It was just the scales. Once I learned the scales, I could come up with things that would cross over from rock to Middle Eastern music. And I also used some acoustic guitar that I I sampled acoustic guitar, and that turned out well. I was surprised because uh, I had not pulled that out, and I took a chance and I sent it to the library, and I just knew he was going to love it because it was just so big. It was just a big sound, and the acoustic guitar sound fit so well with the Middle Eastern stuff. But the Middle Eastern stuff is easier than the Balkan rock.
Yeah, tell me about the Balkan rock.
Yes. this is Balkan rock. I'm not too it's kind of, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think it was. Uh, I read about it and gypsy music. I don't want to offend people with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Nowadays, everybody's so sensitive. I'm not sure which terms offend
Yes,
and which don't. But
I
I get what you're saying.
right.
So but you were able to find examples and go, oh, that's it, and then you knew what your mission was.
Yes, and I struggled with that. That was really difficult. Uh, yeah, the learning chord progression. Chord is accordion. I learned how to use my accordions. I was programming the accordion sounds uh, because I didn't really have many Balkan instruments. I bought a library. I bought the Balkan contact library.
Really, I didn't even know they had one. Good to know.
Yes, 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 and yes, the chord progressions. Uh, I even bought the tune track ethnic piano. Bought
Wow.
the easy keys, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's called, and listened to the chord progressions in there, and tried to make something original. And it it was a struggle. It was a struggle to come up with something new and top what I had previously done. So yeah,
Well,
the
you
Middle
obviously did
East.
it well, and without mentioning the company name, because I don't want anybody to, get tempted to call this guy and pester him or anything. But it was the company that you did the Middle Eastern stuff for. Was is the library based in Israel?
Yes, it
That one.
is.
Okay, so I know that
Yes,
guy well. He's become a
fantastic man.
Yeah, he's become a
Fantastic.
personal friend of mine, and I think you're aware that I've been over to Israel a couple times in the past year because I've got a couple of
Right.
daughters that live there, and been out to dinner with him, and he's just the sweetest, nicest guy, and has done
Mm,
so well for so many of our members. So I'm glad that you're connected with
I'm
him.
sure.
He's a real mensch. Um,
Definitely. Definitely.